Greetings everybody, this is Serpentine451 here, and welcome to another, but late episode of Weeb Warriors. Again, I will make sure that all the other videos will be posted relatively soon, so we can keep up to date. I'm going solo this week, in particular because, well, Jordan is having some severe weather problems down where he lives. All I want to do is wish for his safety, and I hope you guys do the same. But let's get to the anime to review. Let's start with The Wise Man's Grandson, Episode 4. Essentially coming off the heels of rescuing everybody from Kurt becoming a demonoid, which I think I should probably mention if we haven't mentioned it in the last few episodes while reviewing the series. Episode 3, basically that stick in the mud named Kurt became a demonoid and started rampaging until its ultimate demise at the hands of our protagonist Shin. So this takes place after those events, and the individual that turned him into a demonoid, Oliver, well, his surname escapes me, I know what it is, but I can't pronounce it, decided to reveal his true colors after his plot was revealed to the Inquisitors looking into that case in particular. And Shin and his crew are met by two new characters named Mark and Olivia. These two are in a relationship with each other, and Mark in particular is the son of a blacksmith. When Shin asked him if he can make him a sword that is much better than his original one, Mark initially states that he can't possibly do it for the grandson of the wise man and whatnot. In terms of, well, the quality, because he can only make knives and not fancy swords. And then all hell breaks loose when Oliver decides to reveal his true intentions, that he's a demonoid with full conscious awareness of what he is, and gets in a fight with Shin after he trounces the Inquisitors that had him imprisoned for a present moment for questioning and whatnot. Also, it's very funny to see some of these characters interact with each other, even the brilliance of Tony, a character in this anime that looks a little like me if I'm clean shaven. I'll post a picture of him to kind of view the image of Wise Man's Grandson, but it's still pretty damn hilarious that there's an anime version of me beardless out there. So cool. So anywho, Shin defeats Oliver, but doesn't kill him like he said, using the power of refracted light, which is really cool. And so the episode pretty much ends with Oliver vowing to make sure he sets up countermeasures to keep away from Shin. And the adventures of this series and the characters in this series still very much intrigue me. I enjoy watching each and every episode when they pop up on the queue. Next up on the list is One Punch Man, and it's these few episodes that are happening currently, where Garo defeats Tank Top Master, sends Charanko, the disciple of Master Bang, and is sent to the hospital, also including Moomin Rider. Moomin Rider is one of the greatest heroes to ever exist. But it's funny that in some of these episodes, which are the new additions of the season, well, of this season in particular, I don't know what they're, I know what they're chronologically numbered, but in terms of just the season by itself, I'm trying to remember what they are. I think it's close to episodes 4 or 5, a little over, I would say close to 4, but I think 4 to 5 would be I think it's 5, if memory best serves me, because the last episode that I watched was indeed episode 17. Oh, and this include in that particular episode and episode 16, we had primarily focused on episode 16 was primarily focused on Minnow Bat and his mission to guard an executive and his son. which leads to all these monsters pretty much coming out of the woodwork. And Garo, in the previous episode, which was episode 14, I believe, is when he got completely trounced by, when he defeated Tank Top Master and a few other individuals and ran into Saitama. Saitama, the nonchalant fool that he is, says, "You know what, I don't appreciate you knocking into me, you're being rude, karate chop, down for the count." And in episode 17, a whole bunch of monsters are causing chaos around the city, and the heroes are scrambling amongst themselves to try to take them down. And juxtaposed to that is Saitama posing as Taranko to fight in a fighting tournament for a large sum of money. We're introduced to a few of the fighters, and we're introduced to a couple of the fights, albeit very sporadically, and they were very short fights. And it was nice to see a cameo of one character was one of the heroes in the previous season that changed up his whole gimmick. I think that was pretty funny. I mean, the episodes themselves were a combination of funny, serious, and just a bit disturbing in some areas. What was really funny about episode 17 as well is when Metal Bat's younger sister came about and told Garo that they have a policy of no fighting when she's around. I think that's hilarious and kind of adorable. But also, let's get to the next show on our list, which is Bungo Stray Dogs. And this is episode 4 of season 3, in the start of this particular arc, where we see Fedor, named after a famous Russian author, basically taunt a executive of the Port Mafia named Ace, who is a gambler by trade, and ultimately destroys him and his men by using his ability, which is called Crime and Punishment, but people don't really know what it does per se. It mostly does things with touch, but I think we can get into that later. But the best part about this particular episode is the game that he plays with Ace, whom Ace is roughly based on Alan Beckett, I think is the name. And his ability, Madness of the Jewel King, is also based off of The Madness of King George III, a play written by Beckett. But due to copyright stuff, they couldn't use it, so they just called him Ace and based the ability more on him as a character than the actual author and the actual play, which I found very interesting. The fight, the more mind game between Ace and Fedor was more interesting, and I'm sure that Fedor did more stuff in the Dead Apple movie, which I still want to see, but I haven't seen it quite yet. I want to get through this season and make sure that I'm caught up completely so I can watch Dead Apple. But regardless of that, I really enjoy this episode and the conclusion of the arc where Dazai meets Chuya. And finding out all those and the fight scenes in that particular episode were nothing but stellar. I will say that, if I haven't mentioned it already. But that's enough of that. Let's get to the next show, which would be The Rising the Shield Hero, where we are introduced to Vittoria, where she talks to Naofumi and defeats the giant lizard monster, and the next episode after that, where she challenges Philo to test her resolve and all this stuff. Now, both of these episodes were very interesting, and we got to explore a lot of Vittoria's whole role in life. Her being the sole individual to fight against the waves across the country, across the different countries, rather than just one place, like the 4 cardinal heroes are doing in Malremark. Because the rule is that each of the countries summon a hero to defend them, then they meet up in Junction of the Waves, which is very interesting, and Naofumi basically explains that no one really told him that. And he can't get along with the other heroes at the behest of Vittoria, which leads to her challenging Philo after she kidnaps Melty. Philo ultimately proves herself in this fight, and is become the successor to the Filolio Queen, which is very fun, and we had some funny moments with the Filolials and our cast of characters, our band of merry adventurers, on their way to head to the Queen. Well, the Queen of Melremark, that is. And we also, at the end of the episode, see Ren and Itsuki travel through through the church, looking into the conspiracy, Malty finding them, and it looks like they got killed. But those who've actually read the manga, like Jordan and I have, and who have read the light novels too, know that they're not dead. They're most certainly not dead. Sorry, anime onlys, but I'm at least going to spoil that for you. They're not dead. There's more stuff coming, let me tell you. Next up, let's go to Fairygon. Episodes 4 and 5, I believe. And these primarily focus on a two-part fight where Bittersweet hires people to take the Black Fairy Tome and challenges Free and Marla in an abandoned church, if memory best serves me, for episode 4. But, all things considered, that fight was very interesting and engaging. The fight between Marla and the male of the duo was very engaging, where he was a complete and utter nutcase. And then episode 5, the fight concludes where Veronica comes in to save Marla, and her and the crazy individual fight, and it was just claps all around. Just pure golf claps. I really enjoyed the fight, and where Veronica summons her fairy and kills the dude from the inside, I thought, God damn, that's brutal. And the lady fighting Free, with her spirit basically putting his spirit on the ropes for a little while, actually gets defeated by him and outsmarted, but she ultimately runs away, which is perfectly fine. But we get to see more of the intrigue, and we get to see them celebrate Marla's induction into the company of Dorothea, which is really good on their part, on her, after she survived her conflict with the madman. Everyone's just proud of her for the amount of work and accomplishment she does. The character interactions are great in the show. Everything's just so well balanced, and I really enjoy it. Next up, why the hell are you doing this, teacher? Episodes 4 and 5. This ends the arc between Komanji the demon and the protagonist of that particular story going to a wedding at the behest of his mother at the tropics, I believe. And it was great to see this unlikely couple of sorts actually develop more, even though he is a third-year student and she is a teacher, which is a bit of a problematic situation, but when he graduates, it won't be as problematic. And so in episode 5, we have the next two characters. We have the art teacher and the kohai of the teenage character in the first arc of sorts, where they got into a bit of fan servicey shenanigans, as you can see. And a lot of stuff happens involving her getting water shoved up a very private place and making her just scream in ecstasy. Let's just say that. And she was a bit of an exhibitionist when he was trying to button up her blouse because she forgot to put her bra on after she saw that his bus pass, or his commuter's pass was not, he didn't have it on him. And they got stopped by security, which is the funniest goddamn thing. Like, that entire interaction was so damn funny. And then, finally, we will go to We Never Learn, and the episode that I can recall most notably, which should be episode 5. I know stuff probably happened in episode 4, but if I can actually remember it off the top of my head, it will come to me plain as day. But, for all intents and purposes, I could talk about episode 5, where our crew are going to a camping trip for extracurricular study, which leads to our character, well, one of our favorite characters, pretty much getting lost in, oh lord, sorry about that, folks. But anywho, we have Rizu pretty much getting lost in the forest, and Nariyuki ends up saving her, and which leads to them getting in trouble with the school, and with them slowly Rizu slowly developing her feelings towards Nariyuki. And the two of them are cleaning the ladies' bath. Rizu forgot to put, sorry, this room is closed, we're trying to clean. Fan service scenes, as you do. And Sakijo, which is introduced in the previous episode, one of the funnier characters in this series, I gotta tell you. But that's pretty much okay now that I can actually recall that. And we get to see the next titular character, which is the teacher that was the previous tutor of our girl geniuses. Now, I can actually talk about episode 4 now, because I actually read a blurb about that particular episode just now. My apologies. Now I remember. So, Fumino basically is worried about how she's gaining weight, which leads to a very funny last scene where it's later revealed that she is having late night sex, so that's why she's so upset. And then we meet Sawako Sakijo, who is the eternal rival and wants to be friends with Rizu, and doesn't understand why she wants to go into humanities, but is under the impression that Rizu is in love with our boy Nariyuki, which is slowly becoming true, but she's going to deny it till she's blue in the face. But other than that, everything in this series is still rather enjoyable. I mean, this is a show that I've just really just enjoyed. It is pleasant, it is just sweet, and it just makes me smile. And its source material, the manga, is actually really good too. I will say that until the day I die. So, this is a relatively short episode of Weeb Warriors. I hope that I can actually get to everything as best I can. And the Otaku Soapbox session for this week is more of a question that I want to propose to you guys. So this is one I want to bring up here. In particular, One Punch Man. Sure, it's a different studio, but I don't think that the change in animation style is detracted from the quality of the show itself. To those who think differently, that's just your opinion, and I just respect that. But in my honest opinion, this show is still great, and nothing's going to change that, at least to me. Animation as a whole is a very tricky process. As someone who has been enamored with animation and hasn't really tried it himself, I have no leg to stand on per se. But I can understand what it takes to just put all your work and effort into making the best product you can. Because with these videos in particular, I'm just getting back into the swing of video editing. And I remember back in my high school days where video editing was so much fun. and I had a real talent for knowing where to, like, dissect shots, compose them into a cohesive video, and it would just be done there. And thanks to using purely audio for Weeb Warriors for the most part, I get to do that fun stuff again. And part of me also thinks that I can easily do it with other shows down the line too. So I can understand that when an animation studio has some lapses in animation, it can either due to the way the budgeting was done or the way the animators are treated. Now, I fully support animators getting their due diligence. And I also believe that they shouldn't be treated like garden variety toadies for not putting out a product as soon as they possibly can or treated poorly. Hell, even being badmouthed on social media, which isn't fair. Also, I gotta say, on the topic of social media in this community, people just gotta learn that it's not real. Sure, we love these shows, we love these light novels, we love all these manga. We are all otaku here. But there must be a limit to how we act and correspond with how much we love our brand of entertainment. Because if we continue with this ignorant and entitled behavior, we're doing nothing but damage to the community proper. And businesses really would cater to our needs, and the products themselves won't be that good. We'd probably get the same samey stuff. Yeah, saying the same word, how redundant of a sentence that is. But my point still stands. If we just decide to keep watching the same kinds of shows, doing the same sorts of reviews, and sure, everyone has their personal tastes, and I respect that, and to kind of round it back to the way this topic was started, I will kind of answer my own question in my own way. No, I don't think One Punch Man has been downgraded. Far from it. I think that the change in studio was barely noticeable. There's barely any changes at all, in my honest opinion. Everything still looks crisp and clean, and just everything that I remember from the first season. And my question to you guys, have you seen a show that may not have had the best quality, but was still a great show regardless? And do you think that we as fans should be more appreciative of the stuff that is coming out every season, regardless if its animation could be a bit better? Or should we just demand from these companies who try their damnedest with their animators when they get poorly paid in some cases that I've heard? So that's my proposal to you guys. Catch you guys next time for when I actually post these videos, and just have a good day today. Thanks, guys.